This story was posted on creepypasta.org by user Mimichu. Title: Alice's Reality Part 2. Do you see the supermarket as a place to pick up frozen meals and bags of snacks instead of fresh healthy ingredients? Do you walk into a grocery store and feel overwhelmed right away? Overwhelmed to purchase groceries? No, I never really felt that way. I continued with my grin. Grocery shopping can be overwhelming and confusing, especially when you're starting to make positive changes to your diet and lifestyle. It can be hard to know what to put in your basket, but it doesn't need to be. She was correct about one thing: I was starting to make positive changes to my lifestyle. I certainly didn't want to become overwhelmed with anything. What are you making here? The old woman seemed perturbed that I would interrupt her memorized spiel. These are no-bake peanut butter treats. She lowered her bushy eyebrows and flared her nostrils. Good, I said as I popped one into my mouth. Lieutenant's nice to meet you. I'm Alice Ellen Graham and I'm new in town. Lydia, we have chunky peanut butter on sale. Aisle 6, honey on sale. Aisle 7 and graham crackers on sale in aisle 9. She waved her hand to the right in an obvious dismissal. How rude, so I moved on. Coffee, creamer, Diet Cokes, laundry detergent, tissues for each bathroom. As I contemplated soups on aisle 8, a bald man with a clipboard emerged at the other end from where I stood. I cut my eyes in his direction. He wasn't much taller than myself, yet a bit rounder and had bony, slumped shoulders. He looked to be in a bad mood. Had I selected the wrong town? Was everyone going to be rude today? Excuse me, sir, which soup brand do you consider the best? Campbell's or Progresso? Personally, I prefer Progresso. Say that 10 times fast, I snickered. He laughed, a deep, hearty, jovial laugh. Lieutenant was nice, genuine. Are you new around here? I don't believe I've seen you before, and Elle know everyone in town. Actually, I am new. Elle just recently moved into a cabin right outside of town. The man's brow creased. Where's that? Out at the end of Old Foster Road. Actually, it's the only home on Old Foster Road. Really? Are you renting? Number? I bought the place. Well, welcome to the neighborhood, Alice Ellen Graham. He placed his clipboard atop several boxes of instant rice and extended a beefy hand. I'm Les Harmon, manager here. Pleased to meet you. May I ask you a bit of an odd question? Yes, I suppose. Why would you buy that cabin after the horrific murder that happened there? I would be too creeped out to sleep in the place. Murder? What murder? I dropped my can of chicken and rice soup and watched it roll down the aisle. What realtor did you go through? I'm surprised they didn't divulge that kind of information. Les picked up his clipboard and clicked his ink pen nervously. Monty's Realty. He shook his shiny cue ball head. I don't believe I'm familiar with them. Their office is on Main, right across the street from First National Bank. A small bookstore is on one side and an insurance business is on the other. A smallish red brick building with large plate glass windows in the front. Yeah, that's it. I drive by that building every single day. The old brick is crumbling. The windows are cracked and the parking lot has so many holes it's embarrassing. Lieutenant's the town eyesore. I don't know why they just don't tear it down. You must be thinking of the wrong place. It's a very nice building. The interior is quite exquisite. Modern, gorgeous paintings, beautiful cherry wood office furniture, and my realtor Celestine Welken is just the sweetest thing. Les shook his head again. Celestine Welken. Celestine Welken. He rolled the name around on his tongue and his face contorted like he had a bad taste in his mouth. I don't know of anyone by that name, but I do know the building you're talking about. It's been vacant for, about 15 years or so. That can't be right. She gave me her business card. I rummaged through my cavernous purse and extracted my wallet. It should be right here in this slot, I announced. It wasn't there. I opened the coin pocket. Not there either. I pulled a small mirror, a hairbrush, 3 butterscotch candies and a nail file from among the contents. Still no business card. I'm sorry, I can't seem to find it. The grocery store manager shrugged. I've lived in this town my entire life, Alice. I've never heard of Celestine Welkin or Monty's Realty for that matter. I shoved everything back into my purse and zipped it up. You said there was a murder in my cabin. Can you tell me what happened? He shuffled his feet on the checkered green and white tile and cleared his throat. Old Foster Road is named after Warren Foster. He was pretty well off and donated a lot of money to the school systems here. No one really knew why. He and his wife Clementine didn't have any children. But old plus rich equals eccentric, right? Les Harmon rubbed his bulbous nose and shifted his weight from one foot to another. Anyway, Warren Foster passed away in 1973. Clemmy, as people called her, stayed on in the cabin, alone until just about a year ago. She was a familiar face in town, active in her church and ladies' groups. She was an amateur artist but sold several paintings in art shows around the area. She was in my store quite a bit too. As a matter of fact, she was in here just the day before her death. How old was she? My eyes widened as the story unfolded before me. Clemmy was 89 years old. Would have been 90 the following week. Could she have died of natural causes? Les hesitated, seemingly trying to decide on how to answer my question. Ain't nothing natural about being hacked to death with an axe, Alice Ingram. The cabin somehow looked different to me now. Had I let Les Harmon spook me with his tall tales? Were they tall tales or were they truth? If they were truth, why hadn't Celestine told me about the tragedy? Surely it wasn't true. Ain't nothing natural about being hacked to death with an axe, Alice Ingram. There was something about the way he said my name. Something ominous. Something unnatural. Elle laughed aloud at how absurd it sounded. I reached for my cell phone. No reception. Elle would just have to return to the realty company in the morning and ask if anything was on file concerning the murder of Clementine Foster. I had failed to ask Les, had they found her killer? After warming a can of beef stew and downing a glass of milk, I stepped out onto the deck to gather already split and stacked pieces of wood for a fire. It was almost dusk and the light snow was beginning to fall. A coyote howled off in the distance and an owl hooted somewhere. I needed to be inside, safe and warm. When the fire glowed its oranges, reds and yellows, I turned toward the back window. The wind was whipping, the barbed wire fence swaying, the pond rippling. With nowhere to go and nothing to do, relaxation washed over me. I snuggled on the sofa and covered myself up to the chin with one of my bold patterned blankets. I could watch a movie or maybe an old sitcom. Gilligan's L.S. Land, I Love Lucy, Bewitched, but I couldn't reach the remote and I didn't feel like moving. But when the groaning started, I flew off the sofa like a rocket on steroids. It had to be the winter wind fanning through the treetops. No, it had to be an animal. An injured animal. I gazed through the window into the darkness. How had the sky turned to night? Had I dozed off? It screamed, Alexei. The hair on my arms stood up. Elle pushed my face closer, my hot breath fogging the glass. Alexei. A shadowy figure appeared at the edge of Foster's pond. Not a deer or a wild horse or a black bear. What on earth was the thing? I swiped my shaky hand over the tiny droplets of condensation and squinted. Was that a person, out here in the middle of crazy nowhere? It couldn't be. Snow swirled around the being and then it turned. It seemed to be looking right at me, or through me, with bright, glowing, elongated eyes. I grabbed the fireplace poker, ran up the stairs, 2 steps at a time, and hid beneath the king-sized guest room bed. Go away, axe killer. Go away, axe killer. I repeated my wish, eyes shut tight, over and over and over all night. The next morning, I awoke with a start. My muscles were tight, my neck ached. The poker was still clutched in my death grip. Death. Clemmy Foster. I needed to find out more about Clemmy Foster. I needed to find out more about my cabin. There had to be a reasonable explanation for it all. I could not get the story out of my mind. Maybe a bit more information would quell my fears. I dressed quickly, too frightened to take a shower. I had read enough books and seen enough movies to know what happened during shower scenes. The only thing missing was the sinister music. Wary of my surroundings, I made my way to the car and maneuvered my way down Old Foster Road. My bloodshot eyes scanned every rock, every tree, every nook and cranny. I was determined to get to the realty office, in one piece. Celestine would help me. She could put me at ease. Elle would be laughing about my predicament by noon. My car skidded a bit on the slush as I turned the corner. My heart jumped into my throat, but I was able to correct the steering wheel position and straighten myself out. I found I was in front of the food store. Could the thing from last night, whatever it was, be Les Harmon? Could he have been trying to scare me? Perhaps he saw me as a stranger trying to overtake his town. Sometimes that happened with people who lived in one place for a long time. Newcomers weren't welcome. I pulled into the parking lot. There were more vehicles than there had been the day before. Elle would make him admit to his antics, embarrass him in front of his customers. He would learn not to mess with Alice Ingram again. A young teenaged couple sat holding hands on a bench outside the entrance. Had it been there yesterday? I shook my head. Never mind. An elderly man, a plaid scarf knotted around his neck, was trying to pull apart two seemingly welded together shopping carts, and a toddler with curly red hair was beating his chubby hands on the dirty floor begging his mother for candy. I bypassed them all and headed to the cashier furthest from chaos. "Is the manager here?" I demanded. "It's urgent that I speak with him." The freckle-faced girl with mousy brown braids popped her chewing gum. "No, Mom, Les isn't in today. We're not sure when he'll be back. Maybe he got caught trespassing on my property. Maybe he was in jail." I laughed inwardly. "Where is he?" I looked at her name tag. Destiny. His wife Patsy Ann had their baby girl last night. She was premature and had some kind of heart condition. They flew her to Dallas. "Oh my, is everyone okay?" "I believe so. Les brought the boys over on the way to the hospital around 8ish, I guess. My mama's taking care of them. She hasn't called to give us an update." "What did you want to see Les for? I can pass on a message." Guilt rose into my cheeks. I had accused a hard-working family man of deception, harassment and stalking. How could I have done such a thing? He had told me the truth about my new home. He had tried to save me from red tape and heartache. "Or I can page our assistant manager Dwight for you." No, that won't be necessary." I quieted my voice. "There's no message. I'm sorry I bothered you." "Don't worry about it," Destiny replied. "Are you new in town? I don't believe we've met. Did everyone know everyone here?" Monty's Realty was no more. Bricks on the building were crumbling into potholed, faded parking spaces, and the large plate glass windows were cracked beyond repair. The sign announcing the business name was gone. I exited my car and peered through one of the grimy panes. Rubble filled the area. Dust, cobwebs, a broken office chair, a rusted desk lamp toppled on its side. There was no cherrywood furniture, no gorgeous paintings, no Celestine welcome. What had happened? The place looked like it had been vacant for, 15 years or so. Just as Les Harmon had said. What the hell? Dejected, I returned to the cabin with my tail between my legs, so to speak. Was I going crazy? How had Elle purchased this beautiful place through a defunct company? Where was Celestine? She wasn't just my realtor, I felt like she was a friend. Or had been. She wouldn't be after this, that was for sure. I thought about going to the police to report a missing business. A missing person that no one in town appeared to know. They would think Elle was ludicrous. A couple of aspirin would help my headache. I was thinking too much and my thinking wasn't solving a thing. A nap might help. Elle was tired, so tired. I hadn't gotten enough sleep. I could at least solve that problem. The mattress suddenly seemed so uncomfortable. I tossed and turned and turned and tossed. My eyelids were heavy but sleep eluded me. I thought about the reasons I came to New Mexico. To write. I thought of my parents. Sylvester and Ramona Ellen Graham didn't think I could write. I couldn't let them get to me. I couldn't let the killing of an old woman get to me either. I rose from the bed and padded, barefoot, over to my desk. The same blank sheet of white paper stared at me from the typewriter. Again, I stared back. And stared. And stared. And stared. What was wrong with me? Is this what they called writer's block? I didn't like it, not one bit. Elle walked to the bedroom window and pulled back the curtains. It had started to snow again. Big fluffy flakes. The stormy sky had developed dark streaks like a smudged ink across white paper. Like a poor blocked writer's paper. Back to the typewriter, I sat. A romance? No. What did I know about romance? Historical fiction? Nope. Mystery? Maybe I could write about the murder on Old Foster Road. I didn't know the details, but I could fill in the blanks. I could change the names. I didn't know what Old Clemmy looked like, so I could make that up. Elle was excited now, almost giddy. Murder on Old Foster Road. I glared at my title. Good, but it seemed too long. Would it look good on a book cover? Cabin creature. Just didn't capture my attention. LF, it didn't sound intriguing to me. It certainly wouldn't to my readers. My readers. Elle did like the sound of those two words together. How wonderful to think that one day soon, I would have readers. I would have fans and attention and become famous. My breath came in short and shallow gasps. I had to remove my glasses to wipe my eyes. Alice Ceci. I almost didn't hear it. The voice was faint and wispy, but definitely there. I froze. Alexi. Louder. Lieutenant sounded like it was coming from somewhere out front. Perspiration formed on my upper lip and my hands were shaking. Elle grabbed my phone and proceeded to dial 911. Nothing. Elle had forgotten I couldn't get reception out in these woods. My spine straightened and I gulped down my fear. No one was going to chase me away from my home and my newfound dreams. Teeth gritted, I stepped lightly, still in my bare feet, to the front door. Who is it? I called. Who's out there? I knew I didn't sound brave at all. I opened the door just a crack. Flakes continued to fall, oblivious to my trepidations. I saw no footprints in the snow, fresh or otherwise. And then I saw it, propped up against the porch railing. An axe, a big tree chopping bloody axe. The blood was bright red, dripping down the handle and pooling onto the ground. Drip, drip, drip. Purse and keys ended up in my hands somehow and I ran to my car. I screamed longer and louder than I ever had in my life. I put the car in reverse and backed out of the drive. I hit a tree, or a deer, or maybe the cabin creature itself. Hell, I didn't care who or what it was. I slammed myself forward and drove out of New Mexico. I never looked back. # 3 months later. My therapist, Dr. Elliot Reynolds, crossed his legs and steepled his long fingers. Alice, I have done much thinking and much research on your experience. Research? Yes, I believe this has transpired as a manifestation of your imagination. He leaned forward, causing his chair to squeak. You were angry with how your father spoke to you, so you invented winning the lottery. You invented moving to the mountains. You wanted to be elevated or superior to your parents. You created a place you called Monty's Realty. Monty's means mountain, by the way. No, I didn't invent or create anything, Dr. Reynolds. It all happened. You don't have a picture of your cabin. You can't produce a business card either. I called the bank, and although they can't relay financial information, they were able to tell me they had no account under your name. Did you have a bank account under a different name, Alice? Elle lowered my head. My hands were fidgeting in my lap. No, sir, but I don't have any pictures of anything because I lost my phone. I told you I probably dropped it in the snow as I was leaving. Desperation clutched my throat. There is no real estate agent by the name of Celestine Welkin, Alice. You made her up. You want to be someone exactly like her. Tall, blonde, great figure. A self-confident person. You want a friend like her as well. Someone who listens and knows exactly what you want. That's not true. She was real. She was as real as you are, as real as I am. We had conversations just like me, and you are having a conversation right now. My temples were pounding. He made a small clucking noise with his tongue. The name Celestine means heavenly, Alice. Did you know that? Welcome also means heaven, which leads me to believe you dreamed her up. Heaven will be better than the life we have here on earth. You developed her in your mind because you want something better, isn't that so? Of course not. No. I'll have a good life, Dr. Reynolds. Really, I do. I'll have a good job and a nice apartment. Had, Alice. You had a job and an apartment. Had. I blinked behind my eyeglasses. Had. My fingers needed the folds of my brown skirt. Just as there is no Celestine Welkin, there is no grocery store manager named Les Harmon. The counselor scribbled out something in a notebook as he spoke. But why would I create a dumpy little bald man in my mind? If I was going to envision a man, he would be more than attractive. He would be downright beautiful. Les Harmon is, a sweet man but not very physically attractive, Dr. Reynolds. Let's see him come up with an explanation for that. I rolled my eyes. Think of the name Les. Les is more correct. He clicked his pen. Somehow you came to the conclusion that not all men are perfect, i.e. your father's harsh words. In a romantic sense, you don't have to date Prince Charming or marry the male model. I wasn't attracted to Les, and besides, he's married. Plain and ordinary can be the marrying kind, Alice. You see that in yourself now, right? He paused, but I did not answer. You also developed a premature baby girl with a heart condition. She represents the fact that you are daddy's girl. You aren't ready to be out on your own. When your father did not agree with your opinions and statements, deep down it broke your heart, didn't it, Alice? For long moments there was an uncomfortable silence. Okay, I don't agree with you at all, but let's just say that I'll do for argument's sake. I've lost everything. No cabin, no home at all, no money. I sank it into the cabin, and furniture and clothes, and just walked away. I have no friends. Apparently, Celestine ghosted me. Yet I still feel I need a change. What do you suggest? What should I do? Take your father's advice, Alice. Buy a cat.